10,000 small boat migrants in less than the first 4 months of this year. We're already a month ahead of where we were last year, and things are only getting started. My name's Tom Harwood, and this is GBN Originals. Now, we've seen the problem in the English Channel over the past half-decade, and it seems to have been just getting worse and worse and worse. While the previous year was, of course, one of those record years, this year seems to be even worse, already far ahead of the totals that we saw when Rishi Sunak was Prime Minister. But what on earth is causing this problem? Well, if you're to believe the Prime Minister, this is all the fault of nefarious gangs. Smash the gangs is his policy, the response to the words stop the boats that we saw Rishi Sunak use to virtually no effect. No, the Prime Minister believes that if you go after the linchpins of these people smuggling gangs, the problem will stop. The boats will stop trying to cross the channel. But is that really what's going to happen? Is that all that is needed? One of the problems with this assessment from the Prime Minister is that it assumes the people on the boats are all victims, are all lacking agency of themselves, are simply commodities to be smuggled by other nefarious characters. But is that really true? Who are the people on the boats? Do they lack any agency of themselves? Do they have no wants or desires for themselves? Could it be that the people on the boats, unlike the thoughts of the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary, actually have agency of themselves? Could they actually want to come to the United Kingdom? And could it be that even if every single gang leader is rounded up, arrested and incarcerated, that many thousands, tens of thousands, perhaps even millions of people will still want to make that journey and find a way to do it? Well, quite possibly. And there is more evidence every single day showing that that might well be what is exactly going on. Why the Prime Minister's smash the gang strategy might be quite so ineffective. Because if you go after the gangs, well, you're still left with many people from many countries who want to make it to the UK. And the UK is still signed up to international treaties and conventions that guarantee refugee status for people from many countries if they just make it to the UK. This is why we see so many people so desperate just to land their feet on British soil. Because once they do, if they come from a country like Afghanistan, Iran, or Syria, they're almost guaranteed to be granted asylum, to be treated as a legitimate asylum seeker, even if they don't arrive via a legitimate asylum channel. Well, our Home and Security editor on this channel, on GB News, Mark White, has been bringing us more and more evidence of what it's like, what these journeys are like, and what these migrants are doing. Because we can see in exclusive videos he brings to us what these migrants are doing on the boats, smiling, with their smartphones, what they're doing transporting the boats, brazenly, through open paths, how they're affecting villages and towns in northern France, swarming those villages and towns, how uncomfortable that's making everyone who lives there, how much change is going on, and how much it continues to go on, how little is actually being done to stop this movement of people that we continue to see, that continues to become more and more of a problem. It must be said, not just for the United Kingdom, but France is seeing this problem too. Italy is seeing this problem in even greater numbers. We're seeing it to almost every developed country. The mass movement of people is one of the most difficult facts of the 21st century. But let's bring you now what Mark White showed us today on GB News, these latest shocking videos from the English Channel.
Now, we've got some videos we'd like to show you, which I'm sure will enrage many of our audience, understandably, because some of these videos that we're going to show you here have been posted by the migrants themselves crossing illegally from France today. And they do that because they realise that the people smugglers are going to use these video sequences in their advertising to get even more migrants to come across. Take a look at this first clip. So this is a young man in the middle of the channel, face covered, not looking intimidating at all, as he is making the crossing. And it's pretty much, as you can see there, flat cam conditions in the channel. We've some more video on board a boat, or on board two boats, that we can show you. Again, this is video that was captured, taken this morning by migrants on board these vessels, and it's being used and pumped out now by criminal people smugglers in the right across the world, in the source countries, to try and attract, as we say, even more migrants to come on the journey, showing them that, look at these benign conditions, look how easily you can cross the short distance from France to the UK. And more video this time shows the carrying of these small boats. We say a small boat, but take a look at this one that's being carried down through the woods towards the coastline.
عائلتكم موافقين انك تخرج؟
So the big old beasts, these boats, and they have to be, obviously, when they're cramming 70, sometimes more than that, on board these vessels for the journey across from France to the UK. So carried, even in a wooded area like this, if you have lots of police, you would think that they would be easily discoverable before they actually get down to the beach and launch these vessels, but many of them, of course, make it across any time there is a good day. And people might be asking, well, you know, why aren't the French police doing more? Why isn't the French government doing more? And others could argue that, well, is it really in their own interests to stop these boats from getting across? It gets rid of a problem. But it actually doesn't get rid of a problem, because look at this next video sequence. It's taken from a village on the northern coast, and it just shows you what the people of France in these coastal communities are having to put up with day in, day out.
قطار بيجي تشيري زاخو ساقر زاخوي بيجي إن شاء الله حنبقى بريطانيا عفوا.
So that is an otherwise peaceful coastal community in France, just teeming with migrants. And of course, if you live in these areas and you see predominantly young men in your midst coming through the village like that, you can understand how that might be quite frightening for these individuals. So there is, you would think, an imperative on the part of the French government to try to do something to deal with this particular issue. Take a look at the next video that we have for you that does show actually very significant numbers of French police. So you can see there van load after van load of the French police heading down towards the coast, the migrant there looking at the time. But of course, what they're not doing is stopping and intervening to ask these individuals who are heading down towards the beaches what they're doing. And they just signal back, wave, fists in the air defiantly at the police, knowing the police are doing absolutely nothing. And actually the vast majority of these migrant boats that set out on that journey across to the UK are successful in that endeavour.
And you can see why they're doing it. I mean, firstly, it's so brazen. Thank you for bringing us those clips. So brazen that these people are just posting this on a public platform. Look at us, look at our big boat, look at us carrying it through the woods. You can see exactly the route they're taking. You can see exactly the road that they're walking along. You can see exactly the village that they're passing through. You can see exactly which boat they're on in the middle of the channel. They clearly feel like no one is going to stop them, and they know exactly what they're going to get on the other side to a large extent, because people are posting also these types of videos from the hotels and also presumably from rented accommodation, which we know the government is seeking more and more of. You know, a lot of people will be thinking, why not take my chances?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a very good point on the sort of brazen nature of this and what exactly are the police doing to intervene here, because the British government will tell you that as part of their strategy to deal with the gangs, the smashing the gangs policy, they are signing all the time new cooperation agreements with various countries, chief among them, of course, is France, who have given £500 million in investment to help tackle this problem. And we're told that in the coming weeks and months, the French will adopt a new tactic of intervening to push the small boats back when they launch into the water of the beaches. At the moment, the policy is once they're in the water, they don't go near the boats. But if they can get to them before they launch, then they will do it. But actually, even this policy of getting to the boats before they launch, although we heard a flurry of incidents in the past where the police were going and puncturing the boats, that doesn't seem to be happening nearly as much. And one of the key reasons why it doesn't appear to be happening as much is because of the violent reaction that the police are getting from the migrants down on the beach. And unless the police are there mob-handed, it is very difficult for them to reach out to do that and put themselves at very obvious risk from angry and violent migrants.
But we should also point out that the reason why so many of these men, and it is almost exclusively men, make this journey, traipse through these towns, get on those boats and make it to the UK, is because if they come from a country like Iran, Afghanistan or Syria, they are almost certain to receive asylum here in the United Kingdom. Thanks to the conventions that we signed up to, people coming from countries that we consider to be dangerous or in turmoil, as long as they can get their boots on UK soil, they'll be given refugee status.
You've just highlighted there what I think is the biggest pull factor. We hear a lot, and understandably, because people get outraged about the fact that these people are being kept in 4-star hotels and the nice also haves like a bit of extra allowance. But that's not really the pull factor. As you said, the pull factor is if you make it across, you're very unlikely ever to be removed. The government's telling us at the moment returns are up. 24,000 people have been returned, illegal immigrants and foreign national offenders. Well, the vast majority of those are not small boat migrants. It only accounts for a few percent, because if you've come across and you're not granted asylum, you're still unlikely to be removed, because the industry, that is the people smuggling lawyers, the lawyers acting for the migrants claiming asylum, the NGOs and the like, they're all very, very well adept at making sure that in our courts, in appeal after appeal, if you're not granted asylum, you're still deemed to come from an unsafe country, and for whatever reason, you won't be returned to that country, you'll be given indefinite leave to remain.
At this stage really is considered an unsafe country. Yes,
according to these human rights lawyers and the laws that they're utilising here.
Yeah, absolutely. We should say that the Home Office of the government have said that they're going to crack down on fraudulent immigration lawyers. And I don't know how many are fraudulent or how many are fake, but there you go.
Yes, thank you, Mark White, for bringing us all of that and those videos. Really fascinating to see. We must say that the Home Office have issued a statement. They say that we want all dangerous small boat crossings which threaten lives and undermine our border security to end. That's why this government is investing in border security, increasing returns to the highest levels for more than a decade, and imposing a major crackdown on illegal working. Well, what did you make of that? Serious questions need to be asked of the effectiveness of the British government's strategy. No matter how many times Yvette Cooper or Keir Starmer say the words "smash the gangs," well, it seems that more and more people seem to come across the English Channel on those small boats. Hundreds and hundreds. And let's remind ourselves that the 10,000 mark has been passed in April. Now, most of the months that have happened so far this year have been cold, have been wet, have been difficult conditions in the English Channel. If we've seen 10,000 cross the English Channel under those conditions, well, how many more will come as the days get brighter, the seas get calmer, and the sun takes over from the rain? Well, it's a big question, and of course we have producers working specially for us here on GB News, counting those who come across the channel who are escorted by the French naval forces and by the British Coast Guard. We'll be bringing you all the updates as we get them, as the numbers seem to do nothing but climb. Well, my name's been Tom Harwood, and this has been GBN Originals. Do get involved in the comments section down below, and remember to subscribe for more original content.